Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the live stream. I hope you're all very well tonight. Let's see who we have on tonight. We have Ava, great to see you. I hope you're well. We have Enzo the God. We have Colin, great to see you. Freckle Punny is here. We have Maggie Pie. Hope you're well, Maggie Pie. Dave W, great to see you. We also have Raven 1983 Witch, great to see you too. John O'Sullivan is on. We have Stefan, great to see you. We also have Chatty Rat, hope you're well. Young Ralph is here. CGM, great to see you. We also have Roseanne, great to have you on. Killer is here too, great to see you. David McGuinness, make sure to check out Indie Truck Davies, the Two Davies channel on YouTube. Great to see you, David. Hope you're well. We also have, let me see. Master Templar is here. EGF 1000, great to see you. Woods by Me is on. Aki's Mad is here, great to see you, Aki's Mad. We have also Timmy Bing is on. Great to see you, Timmy Bing. Suzanne is here. Great to see you. Asperger's Europe is on. Giel, great to see you. We also have Frederick. Great to have you on. Hope you're fine. Alistair, great to see you. Alistair Kerr, great to have you on. We also have Number 3. Great to see you. Roshin is here. Mark Leslie, great to have you on. Hope you're fine. Hope I didn't miss anyone. 91 Leeds is here too. Great to see you. Wolf Pet. Tories don't get tasered. And so many more. Hope you're all very well. We're up to over 100 viewers. So remember, guys, to smash the like button. It helps the stream, helps the channel. Hope you all have a very nice week. The Tories are not having a very nice week. Oh my goodness. This solution to the migration problem, of course, is sinking fast. Metaphorically, of course. It says here, housing refugees on barge untenable after Legionella discovery, says charity. The charity Care for Calais said ministers should now realise that keeping refugees on barges was untenable for asylum seekers after asylum seekers were removed from the Bibby Stockholm following the discovery of levels of Legionella bacteria in the water system on board. So I want to say thanks to people who've educated me on this on the comments section. So it seems that there may need to be 7 tests done to verify whether this has been eliminated from the water system. So it's not just one test to check that, you know, they clean it out and spray a bit of bleach around. They have to do something like 7 tests, I believe, to check that the bacteria has been eliminated and it's safe to go on to the barge once again. This is, of course, going to take a huge amount of time. And, you know, you eliminate one problem, but, you know, if you're going to put 500 people on barge in the middle of summer or towards the end of summer, it's going to be extremely problematic. Steve Smith, the chief executive of Care for Calais, said, We have always known our concerns over health and safety of the barge are justified, and the latest mismanagement proves our point. The Bibby Stockholm is a visual illustration of the government's hostile environment against refugees, but it has also fast become a symbol for the shambolic incompetence which has broken Britain's asylum system. The government should now realise warehousing refugees in this manner is completely untenable and should focus on a real job at hand, processing the asylum claims swiftly so refugees can become contributing members of our communities as they so strongly wish. Yes, this is the solution. You know, process the claims. In Germany, it takes about 6 months. In Britain at the moment, it's taking between 1 year and 3. 1 year and 3 years to process an asylum claim. In Germany, 6 months. If the Tories sped it up, they would be able to move people out of this type of accommodation into regular accommodation. People would be able to start doing jobs. You know, they'd be able to work where there are so many companies that are struggling to find the workers they need, both so-called unskilled labour and skilled labour. You know, a lot of the refugees perhaps have these skills that they can do the work. they can fill these jobs, but instead the Tories now want to maintain this hostile environment. How are the obvious reckless criminals still free? That's a very good question, number 3. Thanks for that super chat. Yes. How is it possible? And something that really confuses me is that there have been no calls for Suella Braverman to resign. She is ultimately responsible for this. Or if you want to go above her, it's the Prime Minister, but it's her department. She's responsible for these barges. She's responsible for the purchase of them, for the maintenance of them, for the preparation of the use of them. She has to be the ultimate. She's the buck stops with her. And I've yet to hear any politician call for her to resign. Can you imagine if the Labour Party were in charge? Of course, they wouldn't be doing this. But if they were doing this, I can guarantee you the Daily Mail, the Express, the Sun, right-wing Talk TV and GB News will be calling for the Home Secretary to resign. They'll be calling for the Prime Minister, Keir Starmer or whoever, to fire the Home Secretary over this. The Labour Party will be dragged through the streets over this. But when it's the Tories, okay, just move on. And of course, there's nobody going to be dragged in front of a court over this. Somebody didn't do their job. Now, it seems that the council where this barge is being, I think, in Dorset, council in Dorset, the council had asked for the water to be tested, and the results were due back soon, but the Home Office decided to jump the gun and just go ahead with putting people in before the results came back. Spineless, worthless, useless. We need a sarcasm font. Yes. Thanks, number 3. Great to see you on the stream as well. More on the story.
Where all this is going.
Sorry, before we continue, I promise that we're not going to stick to just this story tonight. There are a number of also some positive news coming out as well, so do stick around for that.
On at least the Legionella outbreak. Our correspondent Dan Whitehead is in Portland. Let's head straight over to there. And Dan, have you seen any of those migrants coming off the Bibby Stockholm?
No, and it's our understanding from a couple of sources that the 39 asylum seekers in question are actually still on board the Bibby currently. We spoke to one of those asylum seekers who received a letter at the start of the week. He was one of the ones who had refused to go on the barge on Monday. Changed his mind and went on board on Tuesday. We've had contact in the last 15 minutes or so to confirm that he is still on the barge.
Why the hell is he still on the barge?
Let's quickly chat to Heather from Stand Up to Racism Dorset, which is one of the groups who's been down here obviously since the start. Heather, I know you're not giving your surname, but you're speaking on behalf of the group, and I know that you've been working in liaison with and speaking to a number of the asylum seekers on board. You've spoken to multiple in the last hour. Are they all still on board, and what have they told you?
From what I know, they have told me they are all on board. They do not know anything that's been going on. They've acted like I'm crazy when I've been asking them if they're okay. I have been informed that an instant management meeting is going on at the moment, and the asylum seekers will be told after that they will need to be evacuated. But it is disgusting that they are not being the first ones to know and that the press know before anyone else. I don't know
if you want to get your phone. I don't know if you have, because you were going through some of the, let's just quickly get some of the messages and texts that you've been having from some of the asylum seekers on board. I spoke to you just before, obviously Sky News broke this story this afternoon, and I spoke to you to see if you were aware. You weren't at the time. Obviously, you got in contact with a number of those on board. I mean, just give us an example of some of the messages that the asylum seekers have been telling you in the last hour.
So I text someone, say, are you okay? I've heard the news that you have been moved off the barge. And he just said, hello, no, we are still on the barge. Someone's texted me back saying, we do not know what you are saying. No one has told us anything. Please tell me from what source you have heard this news, and is it authentic? What is the cause? They have no idea. I've spoken to people on the phone, and they have said everyone is still on board and no one knows.
Okay, so clearly...
Now, I don't know if this has changed since then, but Alistair, thank you so much for that super chat. Every outlet has to be tested, has to be tested. Storage tanks too. It takes 10 days to get results. They put them on the barge only days after testing happened. Duty holder is the Home Secretary or the officer. So it takes 10 days to get the results back. So I presume they'll start cleaning, exchanging the water, removing the water, and cleaning the outlets, and then I don't know how long that'll take, and then they'll have to do the testing, and it'll take 10 days to have the results back. So look, this is going to be mothballed for I don't know, at least a month, probably about a month, and it'll probably be forgotten about. It'll be sent back. I think this barge will be dropped, because what happens is it's extremely embarrassing for Suella Braverman and the Home Office, and it would be embarrassing again if something else happened. And there's a risk of, there was something about tuberculosis. Somebody who had tuberculosis was put onto the barge. They didn't want to go on. They shouldn't have been on the barge, but they were sent on, or were told that they would have to go on. This is just a recipe for disaster, and we weren't expecting it to happen so soon, but there you go. Thanks, Alistair. Gareth, thank you so much for that super chat. Legionella and Suella sitting up on the Bibby, effing the country. I won't sing. Thanks for that, Gareth, but we get the message. Oh my goodness.
As to your understanding, there's an incident response. That's being led by the council, in your understanding.
The Home Office, the management company, and I think the council were involved.
Involved. Yes. It may be a case they're obviously now trying to find accommodation for the 39 who've made it on board. Let's just take a step back and get your reaction to the news. You've obviously been saying for a long time that this is not suitable accommodation. Yeah. The fact that there is this Legionella bacteria on board, what's your reaction?
I'm not even surprised, to be honest. I am upset for the guys. I'm upset that they don't know about it. They've been disclosing to me many problems on the barge. It has all been a massive, disorganised and chaotic, and really some of them much more serious. And I was waiting. I wanted the management company to get back to me before I went to the press with those concerns. But considering all them concerns plus this, I'm not actually surprised.
What are the other concerns that they've raised this week?
Some have raised concerns that they haven't been able to access their mental health medication. The buses are not turning up or being very late. The amount of security they have to go on and off the barge. They've disclosed to me that actually a lot of them are choosing to stay on the barge because the security is so long, and in addition the buses are not turning up, that it's just easier not to leave the barge. So in essence they feel that they are imprisoned there.
And lastly, your group now this afternoon saying that this is almost a line that's been crossed. It's time to end it.
Yeah, I think this should be the nail in the coffin. I think Rishi Sunak should just say this has been a huge mess and a bit of a waste of money. And they hopefully they can just go back to the communities they came from, because a lot of them have been uprooted from communities that really supported them and they were really valued in.
We'll have to wait and see. I have a feeling it will be quietly mothballed, and because it's not a solution to this problem, and as soon as you reopen it, you're going to have another risk later on. Like there was the issue of fire safety, that there wasn't the proper certification for fire safety. Thanks again, Alistair and Gareth. We have another super chat from Alistair. Thank you so much, Alistair, once again. Could be months depending on test results. Big screw up, my opinion. Yes. I think what they'll do is they'll just quietly put it to one side, and we'll forget about the the Bibby Stockholm. But the problem is how much money has been spent on it. See, there are stories about a UKIP donor who owns it. What's that about? And how much money has exchanged hands? How long is this contract for? Is it, if the government are not going to actually use it after that, do they have to continue to pay for it? Thanks, Alistair. Maggie Pie, thank you so much for that, Maggie Pie. Cruella is about being as cruel as possible, and we've seen it. We saw it with her deputy, Robert Jenrick, the immigration minister. Saying, I think it was on Sky News or on LBC, about how, well, if we bring down the backlog, that removes the deterrent. So having a backlog is a deterrent. But he also said about how the Bibby Stockholm is a deterrent. Well, if you're going to say, well, if you come to Britain, you might get Legionnaire's disease, or this virus, or this bacteria, that's certainly a deterrent, but it's not the type of deterrent you want to be using. Chemical warfare or biological warfare, is that the new deterrent that they're talking about? Thanks, Maggie. It is worrying that that they didn't wait for the results to come back. They were like, yeah, to hell with the results, let's just get people on. There's pressure. We have this barge sitting there. We need to use it. We need to put people on. We need to show that we're doing something. And who's laughing about this? Well, Nigel Farage is laughing about this. Nigel Farage, the boss of, the unofficial boss of Reform UK. And Reform UK are going to try and profit from this, of course. Saying, oh, see, the government don't have a plan. Vote for us. We have a plan. Of course they don't. Gareth, thanks so much for that super chat. UK government have released no figures for this barge, for your information. Of course not. So, whenever the Labour Party talk about, we have this new policy, the journalist asked them, how much is it going to cost? But this barge, we don't know how much it's going to cost. They don't know how much it has been spent on it, how much is going to be spent on it, if the government are going to get some money back because they're no longer using it. Who is ultimately responsible here? Is it the barge company because of this Legionella outbreak, or is it the Home Office? Wee Scott's dog, great to see you on the stream tonight. Matthew, wow, thank you so much for that super chat. Very kind of you. Wow, thank you so much. The primary reason Brexit won over Remain in 2016 was due to immigration being too high in the UK. Many Britons wanted a strong Conservative government to emulate an Australian strict border, which prevents too much inward migration, illegal or legitimate. I think it's a very interesting comment you made there. They wanted something like Australia, where you would stop the boats, you would send them to another place, and there were islands off Australia where they were sending asylum seekers there. So the boat people were coming in from Asia into Australia, parts of Asia into Australia, and they were sending them to islands, and the conditions there were absolutely terrible. But this was something that the Tory government wanted to emulate post-Brexit. Yeah, we can have something like Australia, sending people to other countries for processing. But I'm not that familiar with the Australian one, but as far as I know, the Australian one was to process people. If their claim was successful, they would be able to come to Australia. Extremely controversial. But the Rwanda policy is slightly different, where people are not, if they're successful in their application for asylum in Rwanda, they stay in Rwanda. It's just basically trafficking people to Rwanda. It's not the case that if you're successful in Rwanda, then you come to Britain. No. So I think the difference there, of course, was with Australia. It was the Australians, or correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Australians were processing claims on these islands. In some cases, they were not being processed; they were just stuck there. But yeah, it definitely is a case that people were convinced that immigration was a problem, and the way to resolve it is by sending people away. And it worked. it convinced people that people were convinced by Nigel Farage and Boris Johnson and others that immigration was the problem. That and we saw the videos ourselves. The Leave campaign had videos in the NHS, or you can't get a doctor's appointment. It's because of foreigners coming here, ignoring the fact that the NHS relies so much on foreign workers, doctors, nurses, staff, the care sector as well. Going to there are so many things that the Leave campaign used as a tool to convince people, and of course, deep down it was about immigration. And when I discuss this with Brexiteers, if you ask enough questions, you generally get down to immigration. Not always the case, but generally it's the case. We just don't want foreigners here. And even today, when you look at the shortages in the workforce, there are still people saying, no, we still don't want foreigners here. We need to get British people to do these jobs, even though British people don't want to or can't do these jobs, either because they don't have the skill set or because in many cases the jobs are not paying enough, or they're too far away from where the people live. Like when you're picking fruit and vegetables, in many cases people have to live on site because by the nature of the work. And it's not cost effective to commute every day. Thank you so much, Matthew, for that. You rock. Thanks to everyone for the super chats as well. But that's very kind of you, Matthew. Roisin, Australia is not near lots of other countries. Yes. So, and it's the geography of the Australian situation is completely different to Britain. You have Calais 30 miles from Dover. That's why there's but also you have a situation where people are, the end of the road is Britain and Ireland for many asylum seekers, because most of them move into the country next door. So they leave Syria and move into Turkey, for example, or if it's in Afghanistan, they go into Iran or wherever. So it's not a case of, the majority are coming to Britain. Like Suella Braverman was talking in the House of Commons, of course, that yes, they all want to come to Britain. A billion people want to come to Britain. Of course, that's not the case. Thanks, Roisin. So what did locals... I love Joe. Joe is a great channel. Do check out... I thought I was already subscribed. Okay. Don't know. I must have got unsubscribed. Make sure you're not unsubscribed to my channel. But check out Joe Politics. But here they are interviewing people on the street about the Bibby Stockholm. I think this is before... This is 2 hours ago, but I think it's actually before the news of the outbreak.
Here, and they should be put first. They should be ones that are on that barge.
They've used it elsewhere to house British troops, so what's good enough for them should be good enough for migrants or illegal immigrants. They should be called.
Where's
Jesus? They should be called. Let's just call. It doesn't matter if for him the vocabulary is completely wrong. We shouldn't be calling them asylum seekers or immigrants. Illegal immigrants.
The young women, if they've come from war-torn countries,
Good enough for migrants or illegal immigrants. They should be called.
Where's the young women, if they've come from war-torn countries?
What is this thing about war-torn countries? Why is it always about, these are military-age young men? They're always talking about military age, war-torn country. Not every asylum seeker is coming from a war-torn country. Many people are coming from countries where it's peaceful, but the problem is the internal politics. There are people who are escaping situations where there is, the police are corrupt, and their family maybe went against the police or went against a gang or some criminal organization in the country, and their life is at risk. Nothing to do with war, but this constant. Oh, look at them, they're military-age young men. Why aren't they at home fighting? Fighting what? Fighting corruption? Fighting the police? What's wrong with these people?
Where are the women? Where are they? It's all young men.
I can see why people are highly opinionated. I'll leave it at that. Yeah. I've got an ice cream to finish. It's starting to melt, all right?
There's another place.
That's the best one. That's the best one yet. Look, just best leave it. My ice cream's melting.
To finish. It's starting to melt, all right?
There's another place near where we live where I think they're moving them as well. So, yeah, similar.
And how's that been received in the community?
I think it's been received quite negative, but it's only probably the racist people that I think are saying it. But yeah, it doesn't affect me. I think it's good.
Doesn't seem like a functional idea to me.
There's been quite a lot of concerns about fire safety as well in the barge.
Yeah, safety in other regards too, but I wouldn't want to be on a barge outside a small town like this. I know there's concerns. I don't live right here, but it's an odd idea.
I know what the barge is, but they've used it elsewhere to house British troops, so what's good enough for them should be good enough for migrants or illegal immigrants. They should be called.
So but you understand that soldiers are in a different situation. Like they used it also for oil rig workers, but the oil rig workers would sleep and eat there. That was it. They weren't stuck there all the time. In this case, as we heard in the previous report, many of the asylum seekers can't leave because either for security just makes it difficult, or that there are no buses to take them out of the area to the local town. But also, in many cases, the asylum seekers are left, like the amount of money they receive per week is like £7. Like, what can you... Yeah, I'm going to go into the centre of town and buy a coffee. That's about it. Maybe a coffee and a sandwich, £7, and then that's me done for the week.
Do you think that the Conservative government's approach to immigration at the moment is right?
I don't think any government we've had in the past 20 years has been right for immigration. Do you?
What do you think the solution should be?
I haven't got any solutions, so I'm not a politician. We vote them in to think for us, don't we?
Are they thinking in the vein that you'd like them to think?
Not particularly.
Do you have any recommendations for them of what to do about
but I'm not intelligent enough to give my views.
At least he's honest. This is a really weird answer. I'm not intelligent enough to give them my opinion or give my suggestion. Wow. Okay. Oh, we got a super chat in case I missed it. Alistair, thank you so much, Alistair. The Times, 100,000 refugees lie. It's 20,000 per year, more gaslighting. 2018, 500,000 deaths in England. It's about convincing the public that there's a disaster, that the Tories are the only people who can resolve it, who can fix it, and then they don't. And then, of course, they'll blame somebody else. I wonder who the Tories are going to blame for the outbreak. Is it, I think somebody was pointing out, maybe it was Meghan Markle. GB News are probably investigating whether it was Meghan Markle who, planted this bacteria on the barge, to just, because she's a troublemaker. We all know that. Freckle Punny, thank you so much for that super chat. Where are the young women? Remember on the SS Empire Windrush, just about all on board were young men. Their wives and kids would come later. Yes, like if you're going to cross the channel in a dinghy, you're going to send somebody who's capable of withstanding that. In many cases, you have to sit on a truck for days. Old people, women and children, pregnant women are not going to be generally it's not the case. It's generally they don't do that. You're going to send somebody forward to see if it's safe, to find a place that's safe, and then bring the others after.
It is an absolutely shameful thing. I think that and the Rwanda thing, it's appalling. We are a nation of migrants, and there's hardly probably anybody that lives in the UK that doesn't originally come from somebody who migrated here.
Don't tell that to Nigel Farage.
We absolutely should open our doors, and people keep going on about, there was mentions about, well, if they're illegal, I heard somebody on the news yesterday said, but if they're illegal, we've got to put them somewhere. They're not illegal. They are migrants from somewhere. I mean, what would people feel? I'm a teacher and I often speak to my kids about this. I say, how would you feel if something suddenly happened here, really suddenly, you didn't expect a war, something, and we had to send our children somewhere. We had to flee somewhere. Wouldn't we expect to be seen with open arms?
Do you remember a few weeks ago where there were British tourists and other, tourists from around Europe, but there was specifically British tourists in Greece, I think, or in Crete, and they were talking about how the people in the local area rallied around, organised, the supermarket opened up, gave people free food. People brought British tourists into their houses during the forest fires, and it was like, wow, the people are treating us foreigners in a very positive way. And so many people, so many Brits said, we should, why are we treating foreigners that come to Britain in such a terrible way? Like, they're treating us in a very humane way. We should be doing the same. And these, of course, were people who understood the issue. Unfortunately, so many don't.
What would you do with the people on the barge then?
I would return the boat back to where they come from.
Okay. And then as soon as I said that, and how do you do that? Okay. Once again, these are, the Express mindsets, the Express newspaper. This is the Express made flesh.
I don't think the barge moves. I think it's
their boats or whatever they come on. So.
What about yourself, sir?
We should look after our own first, really.
I hate this argument, we should look after our own first, because as soon as you were to say, okay, let's increase taxes to house homeless people, to be like, oh, no, slow down there, sonny boy. We're not going to increase taxes to help homeless. Why are these people homeless? They're probably feckless, work-shy layabouts. We shouldn't be helping these homeless people. If we give them money, they'll just spend it on drugs, on drink or something like that. No, let's not do that. Let's not do anything rash here. But as soon as you mention asylum seekers, they become humanitarians. We should be helping these homeless people. It's hypocritical crap.
You should. I was watching the other day a programme from Preston where they got a swimming pool. They need £250,000 a year to keep that pool going. They got to shut it because they can't afford it. And we're spending $6 million a day on these. They're illegal immigrants as far as I'm concerned.
You have determined, you've actually gone through all the paperwork of each individual asylum seeking case, and you've determined that they're illegal immigrants. You don't understand what illegal immigrants are. Illegal immigrants, it's not even a legal term, but the closest you could get to it would be somebody who's overstayed their visa. These people don't have visas. So how can they be illegal immigrants?
Send them back where they come from.
But you can't send them back. I can guarantee this guy voted for Brexit. I can guarantee, I can put money on it that this guy voted for Brexit because he was like, we need to get out of the EU because all these bloody foreigners coming here. Let's get out of the EU and then send them back. Oh, wait a minute, we can't send them back. Why can't we? Because we're no longer part of the Dublin Agreement. But send them back anyway. Oh, yeah, but we don't have an agreement. Like, for example, if somebody arrives from Afghanistan, how do you send them back to Afghanistan? You can't exactly fly into Kabul, okay? What sort of agreement do you have with the Taliban? Oh my goodness. Gareth, thank you so much for that super chat. Nadine let herself go a bit. Max, have a look at the first woman again. 3:12, the first woman. Okay. Well, I think we're going to get to her in a moment. I know that this video is taking a longer than I expected, but I just want to. We'll probably get to Nadine in a moment.
Where they come from.
40% of them don't even come from countries what's at war or nothing.
It's not about frigging war. What's wrong with you? It's not about war. War is not a requirement to claim asylum. Okay? If I was being persecuted in this country and I went to Canada and I tried to claim asylum, they would determine whether my claim was legitimate or not. And war wouldn't have to be a requirement.
They come from peaceful countries like Albania. So, plus the fact, they're supposed to, when they come to a peaceful country, they're supposed to stop at the first peaceful country they come to.
Where is it required? Where is that requirement that you're supposed to stay in the first safe country? And even if it were the requirement, then what would happen if everyone who left Syria had to stay in Turkey? What do you think would happen in Turkey? Turkey would become destabilized, and then what would happen? People would move from Turkey into Greece. Then what would happen? They keep saying, well, they just need to stay in the first safe country, and unfortunately, you have government frigging ministers saying this.
No, and they're travelling through Italy, France, and then up here because they know Britain's a soft touch. It could be used.
Oh my goodness, Britain is a soft touch. What? Putting people on barges is a soft touch. Not processing people's claims and making them wait 3 years is a soft touch.
And then up here.
I would imagine a government that is, severe would be one that processes the claim as soon as possible and deports people as soon as possible. I think that would be not the opposite of a soft touch, no?
Yeah, because they know Britain's a soft touch.
It could be used for something else.
What would you use it for?
Well, putting some homeless people in, or helping them and getting them something to live instead of living on the streets. You know what I mean?
I don't think people should.
Can you imagine if they had put all the homeless people on the barge today? Yes.
Living on the streets. You know what I mean?
I don't think people should come into this country and have things given to them left, right and centre when there's other people living on the streets in this country that we don't look after.
Okay, we're coming to Nadine Dorries now. But this thing, we're giving them, but they don't want that. They don't want to be forced to live on £6 or £7 a week. They would prefer to be working. They would prefer to have their own house, to have independence. Who the hell wants to stay on a barge? They keep saying, well, this is really comfortable. Or look at them, they're in hotels. They don't want to stay in hotels. Would you like to stay in a hotel? You like to stay in a hotel for a weekend, maybe 2 weeks during the summer. But imagine living in a hotel. Imagine somebody being told, you're going to have to stay here for 3 years. Imagine that for a moment. Okay, can I get a job? No, you're not allowed to get a job. Can I go as I wish? No, you have to stay here. You have to register. Somebody will come around once a week to make sure that you haven't absconded or whatever, or every day. I don't know how it works. But I presume there are checks. Yeah, you're allowed to go out, but you're not allowed to work. So we'll give you a few quid to last the week. If you want more, there's nothing you can do about it. Because if you work, then you'll be deported. So you're not supposed to work. Now, of course, many people do work because they said this isn't enough. And they do wash cars and stuff. Anyway, let's get to Nadine Dorries.
This country that we don't look after.
We've got homeless people here and they should be put first. They should be ones that are on that barge, our homeless people. And
what's wrong with putting homeless people in homes? This is not a solution, putting homeless people on a barge. There are countries around Europe, Austria in particular, that has dealt, in Finland, better example, Finland has pretty much eliminated homelessness. Do you know how? By providing people with homes. Saying, this is your home and you're not going to be kicked out. This is your permanent residence. And people have rebuilt their lives. They've eliminated homelessness. But it sounds really stupid, really simple, but they gave homeless people homes. Putting people on a barge, how is that going to fix it? And there are thousands of people homeless. This isn't going to make a difference. And what do? You put homeless people on a barge, and what do? They have a place to sleep. And that's it. How did they rebuild their lives on a barge? Because homeless people don't want to be homeless. They want to have a home. And a barge is not a home. if you're going to say we're going to use it as emergency accommodation, that's different. But you're saying let's put homeless people on a barge. To do what? How are they supposed to fix their lives? Rebuild their lives?
Because it's only going to make our country suffer. I do feel sorry for the people on the barge, the ones that need that, but we've got to look after our own first.
Do you think the Home Office or do you think the government were right to put the barge there in the first place?
No, I don't. And I think they should have consulted people first. I would imagine the majority would say no, because this is a very small town. Portland's even smaller. There's a lot of poverty here, right? It's not a rich town. And yet they put all these 500 men into a small infrastructure. And we struggle to see doctors, dentists, hospital appointments. You know, it hasn't been the same since the pandemic. And I think people have a right to worry. From what I've read on various posts, a lot of people have cancelled coming here. Maybe they're wary about it as well. I don't know. But to be honest, I mean, I just think it was done behind people's backs, and I think they should have been more open and honest.
Do you make of Suella Braverman?
Let me read some more of your comments, guys. We have one from Gareth once again. Thanks so much, Gareth. UK citizens, these military-age men should stay and fight for their countries. Afghans, we've joined the Taliban. Also UK citizens. Not like that. You know, there isn't a war taking place in Afghanistan at the moment because the Taliban have won. So if you were to stay and fight, who do you fight for? I don't think there's a resistance movement in Afghanistan, or if there is, it's very low key and very small. So, like, who do you fight? If the de facto government is the Taliban, then who do you fight? All sure, it's great to see you on the stream. Hope you're fine tonight. Make sure to check out All Short's YouTube channel. If the moderators can hear me, please post a link in the channel, in the stream. In the chat. Alistair, thank you so much for that super chat. Here's a fix England doesn't want. Them, send them up to Scotland and give the powers to decide who can stay and to the Scottish government, Max. Yeah, allow the Scottish government to have control over immigration, but they won't do that because that's about giving power away, and the Tories and Westminster don't agree with giving away power. Thanks, Alistair. Garrett, mad Nat's clutching her Thatcher pearls. I hope that's not a euphemism for something. Thanks so much. Regan Elite, great to see you on the stream. Thanks for that super chat. We're in a cost of living crisis, and this is the news. Yes. There are people who can't feed themselves, they can't pay their bills. Mortgages are going through the roof, which means many landlords who have buy-to-let mortgages, which are have a higher rate than regular mortgages, are passing this on to renters. And then renters are in a continuous loop where they're getting, they're seeing their rent rise, making it more difficult for them, even if they have any hope left of buying a house, getting on the property ladder, is diminishing by the week, by the month, because of course they have less disposable income, less money to put aside to save for a deposit, and of course the focus is a frigging barge. But of course I'm reacting to this because this is the news, unfortunately. The main outlets, Sky News, the BBC, ITV, Channel 4, they're all talking about the barge.
And using language like invasion, or Lee Anderson, the deputy chair of the Tory party.
Can't possibly record or print what I would say about her.
What do you think about Suella Braverman, then the Home Secretary? Do you think she's making the right decision putting them on the barge?
No, she should be sending them back where they come from.
I think he was about to say, yes, she's doing a great job, and then it was like putting them on the barge, and he was like, oh crap, I can't say yes to that. No, she should be sending them back. How how do you send them back? And send them back where? I presume if you were to push him, he'd say France. Send them. Maybe he'll answer this. I haven't seen. But maybe he'll say France. We send them back to France. Okay, but we don't have an agreement to send them back to France. Oh, then just, turn them around in the sea.
No, I do agree. She's trying her hardest.
There we have it. She's trying her hardest. So, I've been calling for her to resign. I think most reasonable people think she should resign. But it's funny how the far right will continue to defend her. Like, they'll look at this isn't working, she's responsible, but they'll never say, well, she should resign over this. Like, at what stage will the far right and these right-wing headbangers turn around and say, actually, she should resign now, she's failed? Like, what does failure look like to them? Because if this isn't failure, I don't know what is.
But there's too many do-gooders trying to stop her from doing what she really...
She has no power. It's like, Suella Braverman is trying to deport people, trying to, throw blocks in the way of asylum seekers. And it's like in Lord of the Rings, you have no power here, Suella Braverman, says the lefty lawyers or the charities. It's like... Then what's the point? Like, how can you say, well, it's not her fault, there's nothing she can do about it? Then why are you supporting her? Why don't you say, then let's put somebody in who can do something? I really don't understand this support for Suella Braverman. Is it because she's like a racist and a bigot, and that's why they say, well, she's one of us, Gareth, thanks so much for that super chat. When Mad Nad asked when Mad Native Nads asked Bojo for a pearl necklace, that's not what she was expecting, Max. No. Oh, Gareth, you're terrible. Might need more Alistairs after Gareth's super chat. Yes, let's move on from that.
And our government of the day.
Do you worry that there are some people, maybe from war-torn countries, who've been mixed in?
Yes, there probably is, isn't there? There probably is. But then there's a legal way of doing things, isn't there?
No, because there isn't a safe route for them. Tell us the safe route travelling from any war. You choose the war-torn country. Explain the safe route that these people can take. I'd love to hear it because it doesn't exist. The only routes available at the moment are, well, Afghanistan is closed off. It was a safe route, somewhat. There is Ukraine and Hong Kong. And I think that's it. Now, somebody arriving from Eritrea, how do they get to the United Kingdom? What is the safe route? Can they turn up at the British Embassy and put in an asylum claim? Of course they can't. Lobby to the rich, call tax a patriotic charity. Yes. Well said, Maggie Pie. Call it a patriotic tax. Or patriotic charity. That's what the Labour Party should do going forward. Convince we want to bring in a patriotic charity, and the more you pay, the more patriotic you are.
There's legal. These boat people, a lot of people are making a lot of money out of that.
You know how you stop that? You know how you end that business? By creating safe routes. Then people don't need to spend money. People don't need to give money to people traffickers.
The ones who want to go after and stop these boats coming across. We've got to stop it coming here. How long can we go on taking in 15,000 this year so far? How long can we go on taking in people before we're just overwhelmed?
So what should the government be doing?
These are the same people who will complain that the population is decreasing.
Overwhelmed.
So what should the government be doing?
Well, obviously you've got to take some in, but I think we just take excess in because they know it's a soft touch. France and Italy would not be giving these people the money and the housing and putting them up wherever they are.
What houses are they getting? They're stuck on a barge in some cases. They're in a hotel at the moment in many cases, and whatever accommodation they are provided that isn't a hotel or a barge is generally substandard. Matthew, once again, thank you so much, Matthew. Very kind of you tonight. It would be correct to dismiss these people's. It wouldn't be correct to dismiss these people's concerns. They felt that their concerns regarding immigration was not being heard years before. That's why Brexit won, or dismissed as bigots. Unfortunately, I think, and you're correct, we shouldn't dismiss these people just as bigots, because where do they get this information from? And unfortunately, the information that is provided to them was provided uncritically. And this is my major bugbear with Brexit. You know, if you look at a country like Switzerland, they have referenda all the time, where what the government do is, okay, we're going to introduce a new law, or we want to introduce something new, and we're going to have a referendum on it. What do? They provide information to the public. They send out a booklet to every household saying, this is what we're going to do if it's a major change in society or legislation. They inform the public. Can you imagine what happened with Brexit? On the one side, you had people saying everything is going to be wonderful, and on the other side, you had people going, things are going to get pretty bad. And the people who were telling you everything is wonderful were charismatic figures: Nigel Farage, Boris Johnson, to a certain extent, Jacob Rees-Mogg. But these were people who were like, you know, full of energy, positivity. Everything will be wonderful. We used to be an empire for friggin' sake, for feck's sake. Okay, let's just get it out. We were wonderful. This will make us wonderful again. If we leave, we're shackled to this sinking European Union. The foreigners are coming here. If we pull up the drawbridge, we can close them off, and we can give jobs to British people. And it was very good. And unfortunately, you have this corrupt media that allows this message. Like with Nigel Farage, he was on Question Time almost every frigging night, and of course he was there unchallenged. The journalist was like, okay, Nigel Farage, tell us about how wonderful Brexit will be, and he went unchallenged. Or the person who was challenging him was like some expert in a particular field, but they were not a politician. They were not able to, you know, spin a story in a positive way or explain things in a way that would defeat him. And he was really good at dodging stuff, and he was very good, and this is I've said before about Nigel Farage, he's very good at weaving lies and the truth together and presenting it as something, presenting something to a narrative to the public, and with a positive ending. Like, you know, he said, well, you know, at the time with the fishing, like if we leave the European Union, will end the, the common fisheries policy, would leave that, and then this is something that the fishermen didn't like, but don't worry, you'll still be able to sell your fish, don't worry, they need our fish, stuff like this. In a sense, some of it was true, but a lot of it was lies, and he was very successful in doing this. Same with immigration. We're going to stop all these Europeans coming in, but they never said what the consequences would be. But, at this stage, people are still saying, yeah, well, it was a good idea to vote for Brexit, or it was a good idea to get out of the European Union. Like, at what stage will these people wake up? I know it's easy to call them racists and bigots and just leave it at that. But, at what stage will they look inside and, okay, was I lied to? Have things actually got better? Thanks, Matthew.
I say it's just a tough touch, Britain.
They are migrants coming from war-torn countries, from places where you can't find somewhere to sleep, eat, drink, find fresh water. We should be looking after these people.
Do you think it's innately British to help out people from war-torn countries?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I mean, I would expect most people are willing to help out. Yeah, for sure.
What do you think about the UK's response to immigration at the moment? Do you think the government are handling it well?
Well, not really. I think we're coming overrun with them. I mean, the more that comes in here, our standard of living goes down. Evidently, they get around 100.
Where does he get this information from? The more of them that come in, our standard of living goes down. When they come in, they work. Most of them, 99%, because you can't stay in the UK if you don't work. If you can't just come and claim benefits. You can't do that. So you have to work. And when you work, you pay taxes. And if you create a business, if you start a business, you employ people. You create employment. You contribute to society. Like if you run a shop or open a bar or a restaurant or something like that, if you work in a company, you're providing a skill to that company, and that company is able to expand. That company, like I think it was Phil described it perfectly. When you close yourself off from, or when you're not able to access the workers you need, you lose a skill set. So this could have been a skill set that helped you expand your business. But now that you don't, like, can you imagine if you want to start selling products into Germany, and you're looking for a German speaker, somebody who can help you break into that market. If you can't access that German speaker, then you're not going to be able to break into that market, and you're not going to be able to expand. And maybe you'll end up contracting your business. These are just small examples, simple examples of how, if in the past, if the UK, when it was a member of the European Union, member of the single market, it said, look, we need a German speaker, we need a French speaker, we need an Italian speaker. We can get these people from abroad, bring them on, and they can help us expand our business. But because of the restrictive immigration policy brought in by the Tories, we can't do that anymore. So we can't expand the business. Or it's more difficult to expand the business, I should say.
£100 put shit on electric meters. These who's getting lucky enough to get houses.
What, they're getting houses?
Right. Those who are lucky enough to
they're coming off the beach and into the benefits office.
Being housed, they're getting money put shit on their electric meters. I think it's on the electric meters. Oh yeah, put 90 of 100.
What are you talking about? If you're in a hotel, you don't have an electric meter.
Pound shit on for them. I mean, like so we've worked all our lives. I can't go.
But if people can't work, what are they supposed to do? Like, okay, I want electricity. Can I have some electricity? Yes. Here's a card with some money on it. But they have to do that because they're not allowed to work. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, we want them to work, but then if they work, they steal our jobs. Then we don't want them to work, but we don't want them to spend. We don't want to spend money on them. Gareth, once again, thanks so much, Gareth. Meanwhile, we've got record numbers of UK citizens currently residing in temporary accommodation. Why isn't this in the news? I mean, F me, yes. But the people would say, well, we should be spending money on our own. Well, they don't seem to be. Once again, it's a case of whenever you bring up issues like this, the response will be, well, these people are lazy. They have 25 children. Apart from Boris Johnson, these people don't want to work. They're lazy. They just want to be on benefits. Remember Benefit Street? Remember that documentary, that accurate representation of people on benefits. This still remains in many people's minds, that benefits equals lazy. So, of course, we're not going to help those people. We're going to help this phantom. Thanks once again, Gareth. What these people say is like, we want to help our own, but our own is a very niche, very small section of society. It's a type of person they probably believe who wants to work, can't find a job, but it's not because they don't have the skill, or I don't know. I don't know what their niche is. I would love for somebody to give an example of which their own they're talking about, because as soon as they say homeless people, well, it's not really homeless people, because as soon as you mention, well, here are some examples of homeless people, do you want to help them, they say no.
Wouldn't just get money put on my electric meter.
Where's all the women? They're all young men. They're all 23, 25, 20-year-old men. Where's the young women? If they've come from war-torn countries, where are the women? Where are they? It's all young men.
What do you think we should be doing differently?
Looking after the buildings, looking after the homeless, looking after the elderly, and looking after basically everybody else, not the asylum seekers.
The barge shouldn't be there in the first place. And if it is there, then absolutely everything should be done so that those people are somewhere safe. What happens if there is a fire? Well, maybe the same thing as Grenfell. It'll be in the news for a few days, and then the people that did all the damage won't even get mentioned or accused of anything.
I think this woman hit the nail on the head. What's going to happen with the people who are ultimately responsible for the outbreak on the barge? Is it the company's fault? Is it the Home Office's fault? Well, the Home Office didn't wait for the results to come back, so maybe Suella Braverman should be responsible for that, for putting people into a situation that wasn't safe. Will she resign? Of course she won't. Will people like this call on her to resign? Of course they won't. Guys, we're about halfway through the stream, over halfway through the stream, so let's take a short break. I didn't expect to talk so much about this. I promise I will move on. Hope you enjoyed this first.
Welcome to Broken News. A 42-year-old woman has been found guilty of mentioning that she's Italian in every single conversation she's ever had. The judgment is the first of its kind and may open the door to similar prosecutions. Our reporter has more.
It was just behind me here where Linda Espinosa, a PR manager from London, was convicted. She was found guilty by unanimous decision of never failing to mention that she's Italian, despite never having visited the country and only having a grandmother from Milan who she's never met. In what the judge called an egregious use of a tenuous familial link, Espinosa had insisted on referring to her grandmother as Nonna, despite barely knowing her. She would also insist on putting on an accent to pronounce Italian words like spaghetti, farfalle and espresso. Sentencing Espinosa to 3 years behind bars, the judge called her a despicable individual who bashed everyone about the head with her vague ties to Italy. The court heard how Espinosa started every sentence with "speaking as an Italian woman," before going on to use a tired Mediterranean stereotype about family values, being a passionate lover, and throwing crockery at their husband and shouting in the street a lot. Back to you.
What a lovely story. That's it from Broken News. You're up to date.
Very good. Let's move on. This is a very sad story, and maybe something good will come from it. I don't know. Crooked House rebuild would be very complicated and costly endeavour. So we heard the story this week that this pub that's been around for I don't know how long, centuries, was demolished. And also the trees around it were uprooted by the owner because of a fire. Yes. So ever since it burnt down and has been demolished last week, there has been calls for the Crooked House pub in Staffordshire to be rebuilt from scratch. Andy Street, the mayor of West Midlands, told the local council he wanted to see it rebuilt brick by brick, using as much original material as possible, and a Facebook group calling for it to be rebuilt has attracted more than 10,000 members. Historical pub buildings have been successfully rebuilt before. The Carlton Tavern pub in Maida Vale, reopened in 2021 and was rebuilt brick by brick after being demolished without permission. But doing so is not impossible. But while doing so is not impossible, it will be a huge endeavour, said Andrew Lovett, Chief Executive of the Black Country Living Museum, an open-air museum made up of rebuilt historical buildings about 4 miles down the road from the Crooked House once stood. After dozens of calls for the BCLM Museum to intervene and save the pub, Lovett issued a statement this week saying that unfortunately the organisation was not in position to save, let alone relocate, the building. This is really sad. You know, it's a piece of heritage. So it was built in 1894. I thought it was older than that. And it seems the owner demolished it after it went on fire. Something happened and it went on fire, and it was demolished. It'd be wonderful to have it rebuilt, and I think it would actually be very good for the area. But unfortunately, I don't know. Maybe it will happen. But I think it'll be also difficult from a structural point of view because considering modern standards, I don't know if it'd be permitted to be rebuilt. It's like old buildings can stay up, but you're not allowed to build like that today because of health and safety standards or because of building standards. Anyway, just wanted to touch on that. Nadine Dorries, who got a bit of a mention during the live stream already. Nadine Dorries and her constituents and the constituents who haven't seen their MP in years. What's this about? If this loads.
We're trying to find Nadine Dorries, the local MP. I don't suppose you've seen her around.
Good luck.
We're trying to find Nadine Dorries, the local MP. Have you seen her?
Not for years. I think she should resign. I mean, dragging it out, there's no point, is there?
She's an acquired taste.
She can stay in the jungle because that's how much good she is for us. You know, I'm sorry about that. That's how I feel.
She was promised a place in the House of Lords, and Sumak took it away, didn't he? Put a block on it.
Well, this is where Nadine Dorries' constituency office in Shefford is listed, but it doesn't seem to be here. It looks to be a dance studio. No answer there. That seems to be an overseas ringtone, though.
Overseas ringtones. Where the heck is Nadine Dorries? She's an acquired taste. A man with a grin and a snort as he trots off through Amt Hill's weekly market. So where is Nadine Dorries? She was supposed to resign. She said she would resign. Does her Dorries out. I think she's coming to the end of the... Now, she actually has a significant majority in... let me see if I can find it. Search Nadine Dorries. Wikipedia. Here we go. She's the MP for Mid Bedfordshire. Yeah, and she had a majority of 24,000. So when the by-election eventually does take place, there's a chance that probably the Labour Party will win it, and it'll be embarrassing once again for Rishi Sunak. That's a pretty strong majority to lose, but it's likely the Conservatives will lose it. She hasn't been there for years. What is the point in... I really... she's been an MP for... Wow, how long? 2005. What has she done for her constituency? Pretty much nothing. At the last election, 2019, 24,000. She increased her majority from 20,000. So she must be somewhat popular in the constituency, but maybe that popularity has declined somewhat. Oh, goodness. Okay, let's move on. There is a positive story I will cover later on as well. Junior doctors begin 5th walkouts. Some of those striking only started their jobs 2 weeks ago. Junior doctors from the British Medical Association are staging a 4-day walkout from 7 a.m. in an ongoing dispute over pay. Concerns have been mounting over the impact of the strike following High Court ruling that means the NHS cannot use agency staff to backfill striking workers, which means that many appointments will have to be cancelled. Almost 835,000 appointments have been postponed since industrial action began in December, but NHS Confederation said that the true level of disruption is being masked by the number of cancellations. The number of cancellations could be double this figure. Dr. Johan, thank you so much for that super chat. Hey, thank you so much for that very much. Hope you're well tonight. Hope you're not too busy. We have a super chat also from... Oh, I missed a few. I don't know. I didn't get the notification. So we have one from David McGuinness. Thank you so much, David. The right-wing nutters in the press demonising those people were demonising on the unemployed 10 years ago. Yes, well said. It was when they're demonising asylum seekers today, they were demonising homeless people. They were demonising the unemployed in particular about 10 years ago. Oh, look at these people not working on Benefit Street. We need to crack down on them. We need to punish them. The two-child policy is, of course, a consequence of that as well. And there have been suggestions that these sort of documentaries, for a better choice of words, have been influential on policy by the Tories especially during the early years of austerity. Oh, look at all these people on benefits. And of course, the TV shows take the most extreme examples and they amplify that. And of course, they don't present a realistic portrayal of the people on benefits. And of course, there will be some exceptions. The reason why the newspapers like The Sun are able to sell newspapers with front page of single mother travel holidays 5 times a year, if that was normal, then it wouldn't be news. I really don't understand why people don't get that. Of course, and then of course they twist things. Perhaps she's a single mother, she's on benefits, but her parents travel with her or invite her abroad 3 times a year, or they have the parents are rich and they have a house, or I don't know. But of course the newspaper don't go into that sort of detail. It's certainly not on the front page. But it's about just constantly finding new enemies, and I wonder who the next enemy will be, because at the moment it's asylum seekers. Who will the Tories turn their ire to next? Gareth, thanks so much for that super chat. Guy with the spectacles reminds me of mangled spam tin. I'm not familiar with that, but thanks for that. I must check that out. We also have I keep missing these. We have Dr. Johan. Thanks again, Dr. Johan. Alistair, thank you for giving out a membership to Perry. Hey, Perry. No, I don't have Discord. Don't worry. We also have one for Ian. Thank you so much, Alistair, for Ian. Andrew, great to have you on the stream tonight. You can't stop the signal. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Thanks for that, Andrew. Hope you're well. Mad Nads replace Bigfoot due to staff shortages. Thanks, guys. Yes. Bigfoot was, is on hiatus, is on holiday, so Mad Naz is filling in for him or her. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's move on. Almost at the end of the stream, so I need to pick up the pace a little bit. I wanted to cover this monologue about housing.
You hear
from our old friend James O'Brien.
2 categories of caller that must make you want to scream. The first is the older caller who contends that the only reason why young people can't get on the property ladder today is because they don't work as hard as they did in the 1950s, 60s, 70s, 80s. I mean, it can bring it right up pretty much to almost to the day 23 years ago when I got married with a 110% mortgage. And that is just nonsense. With the greatest of love and affection, if you genuinely think that, then you are spouting complete Horlicks. It's just a simple question of multiples. You compare the average house price today to the average income today, and then go back 30 years and compare the average property price then to the average income. You would be looking, for much of the post-war period, you'd be looking at a multiple of 3 to 4. So an average property would be costing you about 3 to 4 times the average annual salary before tax, and you would get your mortgage according to how much you earn, and property ownership was well within reach for people.
There were people who would have one job. So in a couple, in a family, usually the man would be working and the wife would stay at home, and that would be enough to buy a house. Just like for younger people listening to this, it sounds completely insane. But there for many years, post-war, I would say right up to the beginning of the 1990s, it was a case where, if you look at The Simpsons, it's not the perfect example, but if you look at The Simpsons, you have Homer, who was not university qualified. He wasn't a university graduate. He had a full-time job. He had a union. He was a member of the union, and he had a house and a car. with a garden. Like, okay, that's in the United States, but that was not strange for people back in the late 1980s or early 1990s. That was normal. Husband works, wife stays at home with the kids. That's impossible today. Practically and completely in many cases.
People, and that's why some people persist in believing that if only young people didn't have so many Netflix subscriptions and avocado sandwiches. Have you noticed I've stopped saying avocado pear? Everyone laughed at me when I said avocado pear. Apparently no one else ever says avocado pear. I always thought they were called avocado pears. But
where does that come from? Magic, they should drink less coffee and eat less avocado. Yes, that's it. See? If you look at, and sometimes you'll see it in, what do you call it, in the Daily Mail or the Telegraph, they'll be like, you know, this, you'll have this young person, an exception, who'll be like turning around and say, yeah, I bought my first house at the age of 21, and they'll leave it at that. And then later in the article, they'll be like, yeah, because my dad is a member of the House of Lords. my mom is a brain surgeon. And yeah, they gave me a loan. You know, okay, well, then you didn't buy your house at the age of 21. But it's about convincing people, convincing two groups of people, convincing older people that young people are lazy, and if they don't have stuff, it's because they're lazy. And second, it's because it's convincing younger people that there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong with you if you don't have, you know, your own flat in the centre of London, or you don't have, you know, a 2-bedroom house out the country at the moment. There's something wrong with you. You're not working hard enough. You need to cut back more. You need to make sacrifices. Oh, you're not willing to sacrifice. There's something wrong with you.
I don't say that anymore. Go me. And they had a few fewer avocado open sandwiches, then they'd be able to buy a property in Mayfair. It's just stupid. And the one that really, really riles is you read articles in places like the Daily Telegraph by Jemima Tuffington-Jones about how it's a myth that young people today can't buy a property. I've just bought my first flat and I'm only 7. And then you read the article, and it turns out that her grandma was the Dowager Countess of, I don't know, Bedfordshire, and left her a small island in the Orkneys or something like that. These Daily Telegraph writers claiming it's not that hard to get property. And then halfway through well, I was very lucky because Mummy gave me a flat and I sold that and bought a house. It's not that hard to buy houses for my generation. I don't know what all these people are talking about.
I actually hadn't listened to this, but I knew exactly what he's going to say because we've heard these things before. And once again, it's about convincing people, either convincing an older population that, well, young people are just lazy, or convincing a younger population that, well, there's something wrong with you. I want to move on to a positive story. Hopefully it's a positive story. This is a young man in Cork, in Ireland, who has, it seems, invented a method to remove microplastics from water, which is a massive problem at the moment.
My name is Fionn Ferreira. I'm from West Cork, actually Ballydehob, and I'm really passionate about solving the microplastic pollution problem. I've seen so much plastic on the seashore here in West Cork, and that's why I felt like I had to do something. Microplastics are tiny plastic particles, really, really, really small, and these plastic particles cause harm when we ingest them, and other animals ingest them too. My invention is a magnetic liquid that allows us to remove microplastic particles from water just using magnets. This is the water that I just collected from the beach, and it actually contains microplastic particles. We can make these visible and also extract them using my extraction mixture, which actually is quite a black powderous mixture. So when I add it to water, just like this, and stir the water, we can see that it actually gets pretty dirty in color. But then if I go into it with a magnet, I can very easily pick up this along with a lot of the microplastic particles to clean up the water and attract some of the microplastics out on my magnetic stick. Plastic pollution is growing and growing and growing, and we're drinking a lot of water. In fact, we drink over 5 grams of plastic every single week. So to combat this, we need to remove plastic from water. But of course, the biggest problem with plastic pollution is that it's getting more. And that's something I don't have the solution to. We need to stop putting plastic into the water to be able to make an impact.
Well done. And this is do-gooder trying to make clean water. Well said, Perry. Yes, damn guy. He needs to take a leaf out of Therese Coffey's book. Pump more raw sewage and more plastic into the sea and into waterways. But this is great, and it seems really simple. Let's hope that he gets support. Let's hope that there's some billionaire watching this, and they will put their hand in their pocket and say, give this guy a grant. Let's get this guy doing something on a bigger scale, of course. Plastic magnet. Yeah, I think it's what happens is the plastic attaches itself to the material, and then this material is attracted to the magnet. I think that's how it works. You'd need to speak to him, and doesn't say what his name is. Okay. But if you have a look on RT News, there's a link there. Anyway, one positive story for tonight. Unfortunately, where there's good, there's always bad as well. This is Theresa Filler's MP failed to declare she owns Shell shares worth £70,000 while working as Environment Secretary. Oh, God. Theresa Villers admitted her shareholding in an oil and gas company in her latest update to the Register of Members' Financial Interests. Under the section, other shareholdings valued at more than £70,000, Miss Villers' entry says from the 23rd of February 2018, Shell PLC Energy registered 17th of July 2023. So she's had them since 2018, but she registered them in 2023. It's easy for people to forget that they have £70,000 worth of shares in an oil and gas company. It happens to all of us. How many people on the stream, how many times have you had, almost £100,000 in shares, in a company that you never thought of? You've completely slipped your mind. It happens to everyone all the time, I'm pretty sure. It happens to Sir Ron Venty all the time. He keeps coming to me and saying, "Hey, Max, I have this. I just, I received a letter in the post from this investment company saying I have like £500,000 in this in shares in this company, and I didn't know. I kind of, or maybe I bought the shares while drunk or high or something." I said, "Please don't do this. It's it's very worrying." Gareth, thanks so much for that super chat. Anytime I hear about someone from West Cork, I always think of the Mick Collins film. No, don't do this to me. I'm a yob from West Cork. My favourite, I don't know if he's from West Cork, but Tig, who's a comedian. I think, well, he's from Cork anyway. He does wonderful videos on YouTube and on Twitter and on other social media outlets. Anyway, MPs are required to register any changes in their registrable interest within 28 days. A list of ministers' interests from November 2019 did not include mentions of the shares for Miss Villers. Why did she become Environment Minister if she had shares with Shell? Why didn't she say something like, okay, actually, I better not become Environment Minister because I have a conflict of interest? And surely this is a conflict of interest. Like, who are you going to pick? The environment or Shell? Like, if you're making a decision, should we help Shell or should we help the environment? Well, I have shares with Shell, so I think I'm going to help the environment. Yeah, that's going to happen. And of course, you're a Tory, so you don't really care about the environment. Alistair, thank you so much for that super chat. In the back of the sofa, Max. You don't want to see what's down the back of Sir Ron Venty's sofa. All sorts of things, and it's not even just money. As soon as she realised this, she alerted the Register of Members' Interests and Standards Commission. Yes. Oh, goodness, yes. They earn, was it £84,000 a year, and it's still not enough. Like, if they don't, why don't they go get a better paying job? They complain, if people are struggling to pay their bills, get a better paying job. And then they, it turns out that they have like money on the side or investments they don't want people to know about, or they're working for other companies, they're working as lobbyists, or they're taking backhanders, and then they're, but was it one Tory MP was like saying, if we take away second jobs, their people will struggle. They have families to feed. MPs have families to feed. We can't take away their second jobs. Oh my goodness. Okay, guys, we're almost at the end of the stream. I want to say thank you so much to everyone who came on tonight. Thank you so much for the super chats. Thank you so much for your support. Thanks for everyone to smash the like button, and thanks to the moderators for doing a wonderful job. Unfortunately, I won't be on the post-stream chat tonight, but we will have a post-stream chat tonight, so do jump on. I'm sure there'll be a very interesting discussion anyway. But before we finish, we have our one for the road. I hope you'll enjoy this. I'm sure you will.
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line to wish Justin a happy birthday from his wife Ruth. Isn't that lovely, Colin?
It's disgusting, Anthony.
Yeah.
Absolutely disgusting.
Mm.
She loves her husband so much she's paid a stranger to hurl abuse at him down the phone.
Well-
I worry about people in this country. I really do.
That's true, Colin. I mean, Justin, it says here he's an accountant who loves cats, which kind of proves that accountants are human, Colin.
I wouldn't be so sure, Anthony. Don't
Right.
let that cuddly exterior take away from the fact that accountants are part of the lefty Ramonin liberal elite.
Yeah.
It's accountants who ruined poor Nadim Zahawi's career when
Yeah.
he's done nothing wrong.
Yes, we've heard enough about Nadim Zahawi, Colin.
How's he going to warm his horse now?
Well, I know. Let's turn back to Justin, shall we? 47 years young, plays the guitar, loves Metallica and Depeche Mode, Colin.
Oh, he likes music, does he? He's
Yeah, he
probably
does.
upset that foreign musicians can't tour here anymore without
yeah.
needing 27 separate visas. Grow up, mate. Just put a CD on and stop moaning.
Well, maybe you see eye to eye on other subjects. He's a Chelsea fan, Colin, the most Tory club in Britain, as well as Hibs. And he goes up to Scotland.
Anthony. I'll stop you there. As well as Hibs, he
Yeah,
supports
as well as
two
Hibs.
clubs, and
Yeah.
one of them's Scottish. He
Yeah.
gets the bitter aftertaste of following the same team as Dominic Raab out of his mouth by defecting north of the border like a traitor and moonlighting as an apologist for the SNP. I bet he personally helped Nicola Sturgeon bury that cash in her back garden, didn't he?
Well, that was-
Or whatever it is her husband allegedly did.
Allegedly,
Justin,
yes.
if you hate Britain so much, stay in bloody Scotland. Anyway, mate, happy birthday and love to the family.
Happy birthday. Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family.
I actually need an accountant. Tell him to get in touch.
I don't think he will.
Gareth, just in at the end, now imagining the Conjuring franchise, but the evil nun just beneath shell shares under suspected Tories. Oh, that's mad. So guys, have a great weekend. I'll see you on Tuesday, same bad time, same bad channel. And as always, stay safe. Thanks so much once again, and have a good night. Good night.